When you think of NFL legends, a few names instantly come to mind. But one quarterback from the 1970s sparks both reverence and debate: Terry Bradshaw. 4 Super Bowls, countless highlight reels, and a reputation as a clutch performer. But was he really one of the all-time greats, or did he just have the right team around him? Today, we're diving deep into the career of the man who built the Steelers dynasty, examining the highs, the lows, the interceptions, the touchdowns, and everything in between. From a rocky rookie season to Super Bowl glory, this is the story of Terry Bradshaw, the quarterback who could win it all when it mattered most, even if he didn't always play like it. Every legend starts somewhere, and for Terry Bradshaw, it began far from the bright lights of the NFL. Born in Shreveport, Louisiana, Bradshaw was a natural athlete, excelling in multiple sports. But it was football that would define his destiny. Even in high school, scouts noticed his arm strength and poise under pressure, yet few could predict the roller coaster career that lay ahead. Bradshaw's true rise began at Louisiana Tech University, a school not exactly famous for producing NFL stars. But there, under the spotlight, he started to show glimpses of greatness. By his junior year, Bradshaw had become one of the nation's top quarterback prospects, throwing nearly 2,900 yards and 22 touchdowns, a remarkable feat in an era where passing was often secondary to running the ball. His senior season further solidified his status, adding another 2,300 yards and 14 touchdowns, proving that his talent wasn't a fluke. NFL scouts began to take notice. Here was a quarterback with the size, arm, and confidence to succeed at the next level, yet questions remained. Could he adapt to the faster, more ruthless pro game? Could he handle pressure, criticism, and the weight of leading a franchise? The answer came on draft day in 1970. The Pittsburgh Steelers, fresh off a 1-13 season, won the coin toss against the Chicago Bears for the first overall pick. Their choice? Terry Bradshaw. At that moment, Bradshaw went from promising college star to the presumptive saviour of a struggling franchise. But as history would soon show, greatness would not come easy. The stage was set, the lights were on, and the NFL was ready to test whether this young quarterback could rise or fall under pressure. The NFL is a brutal place for even the most talented rookies, and Terry Bradshaw's first season in Pittsburgh proved that talent alone isn't enough. The Steelers had pinned their hopes on the first overall pick, but stepping onto the field in 1970 was a harsh reality check. The speed, complexity, and physicality of the pro game hit Bradshaw like a tidal wave. From the very first snap, it was clear this would be a season of learning and survival. In 8 starts, Bradshaw threw for 1,400 yards and 6 touchdowns, but also a staggering 24 interceptions. To put that in perspective, he threw 4 times as many picks as touchdowns. Critics were quick to label him a bust, while media narratives painted him as a country kid out of his depth. The pressure was immense, and the Steelers' fans were impatient. Yet, despite the constant scrutiny, one thing stood out: Bradshaw's confidence. Unlike many modern rookies who crumble under early struggles, he refused to let failure define him. Year 2 wasn't much easier. More experience brought only slight improvement: 800 additional passing yards and 13 touchdowns, but turnovers remained a problem. By now, the league had seen enough to question whether Bradshaw could ever lead a team to success. His arm talent was undeniable, yet consistency seemed elusive. But in the midst of struggle, a spark of resilience began to shine. Bradshaw's mental toughness, his refusal to give up despite public doubt and mounting criticism, was his first true Super Bowl caliber trait. Fans and teammates who stuck around began to sense that, beneath the interceptions and rough games, there was a quarterback capable of greatness. By the end of his sophomore season, the message was clear. Terry Bradshaw wasn't perfect, but he was unbreakable. The stage was being set for the transformation that would eventually turn the Pittsburgh Steelers from an underdog team into an NFL dynasty. If the first 2 seasons tested Terry Bradshaw's talent, 1972 was the year that tested his resolve and revealed his potential. The Steelers, still a team searching for respect, were entering the playoffs as underdogs. But something had changed in Bradshaw. The interceptions and early struggles were not gone, but a new confidence and clutch mentality had emerged. This was the quarterback who would rise when it mattered most. In the divisional round, Bradshaw faced one of the most dramatic moments in NFL history, the Immaculate Reception. Driving down the field in the closing minutes, he orchestrated a play that would become legendary. Franco Harris's miraculous catch wasn't just a highlight, it was proof that Bradshaw could thrive under pressure, guiding his team through chaos with poise and determination. Though the Steelers fell to the Miami Dolphins in the AFC Championship, their close fight against a team on the verge of a perfect season marked a turning point. Fans and critics began to see flashes of the quarterback that Pittsburgh had drafted first overall. Bradshaw's rookie mistakes were behind him, replaced by a quarterback growing into his role, learning from every interception and setback. By 1974, Bradshaw's perseverance culminated in the Steelers' first Super Bowl run. Despite injuries, media doubts, and a team in transition, he led Pittsburgh on a remarkable 5-1 streak to secure a playoff berth. Against all odds, Bradshaw's arm and his fearless mindset carried the team through grueling matchups, eventually guiding them to victory over the Vikings in Super Bowl IX. 3 touchdown passes, 1 interception, and a championship ring. Bradshaw had arrived. This was more than a win. It was the birth of a legend. From a struggling rookie to a Super Bowl champion, Terry Bradshaw had transformed not just his own career, but the destiny of the Pittsburgh Steelers. The stage was set for a dynasty, and for a quarterback who had learned how to seize the biggest moments, again and again. By the mid-1970s, Terry Bradshaw had transformed from a young, inconsistent quarterback into the fearless leader of a team on the brink of greatness. The Pittsburgh Steelers were no longer underdogs, they were a powerhouse, with a defense that would become legendary as the Steel Curtain and a roster stacked with Hall of Famers. But at the center of it all stood Bradshaw, a gunslinger with a cannon arm, a fiery competitive spirit, and an uncanny ability to perform when it mattered most. The 1975 season showcased his growth. Throwing for 2,000 yards and 18 touchdowns, Bradshaw led the Steelers to a 12-2 record, cementing their status as back-to-back Super Bowl champions. His combination of aggressive throws, deep bombs to John Stallworth and Lynn Swann, and clutch decision-making in high-pressure moments defined him. Yet even as the stats climbed, so did the risk. His gunslinger mentality led to turnovers, reminding fans that Bradshaw's brilliance always came with an edge of danger. 1978 marked the pinnacle of his career. Coming off earlier playoff disappointments, Bradshaw exploded with a league-leading 28 touchdown passes, guiding the Steelers to a dominant 14-2 season. His leadership in the playoffs was flawless. Against the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl XIII, he threw for 318 yards and 4 touchdowns, earning his first Super Bowl MVP. 1 year later, in Super Bowl XIV, Bradshaw delivered again, including a 73-yard touchdown to Stallworth that sealed victory, his second Super Bowl MVP, and a 4th championship in 6 years. These seasons weren't just about stats, they were about clutch performance, resilience, and rising to the moment. Bradshaw had proven that a quarterback could be both daring and decisive, capable of leading a team to glory while taking risks that would intimidate even the most confident defenses. In these dynasty years, Terry Bradshaw didn't just play football, he defined what it meant to be a champion. Even legends face the relentless march of time, and by the early 1980s, Terry Bradshaw and the Pittsburgh Steelers were entering a new chapter. After 4 Super Bowl victories in 6 years, injuries, age, and the physical toll of the game began to take their toll. Bradshaw's arm strength remained, his competitive fire undimmed, but the consistency that once defined his dynasty years started to waver. The 1980 season was a turning point. Bradshaw threw for over 3,300 yards with 24 touchdowns, but also a career-high 25 interceptions. The Steelers finished 9-7, missing the playoffs for the first time in years. The once dominant team faced roster changes, fading stars, and the pressure of living up to the legacy of the 1970s. Bradshaw's aggressive style, which had brought so much success, now carried greater risk and unpredictability. From 1981 to 1983, Bradshaw fought through injuries and limited playtime, showcasing flashes of brilliance but also the reality of a career winding down. In 1981, he threw for 2,900 yards and 22 touchdowns, yet the Steelers finished 8-8, falling short of postseason contention. The strike-shortened 1982 season offered a brief return to form, with 17 touchdowns in 9 games, but Pittsburgh was eliminated in the first round. His final season in 1983 was marked by injury, yet Bradshaw still played through pain, throwing 2 touchdown passes in what would be his last appearance. When he finally retired, it was the end of an era. 27,999 passing yards, 212 touchdowns, 210 interceptions, 4 Super Bowl rings, and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Terry Bradshaw's career may have had peaks and valleys, but his legacy is undeniable. He wasn't always the most consistent quarterback in the league, but when it mattered most, he delivered. A Hall of Famer, a fearless competitor, and a symbol of Pittsburgh's first dynasty, Bradshaw's story reminds us that greatness isn't just measured in stats, but in moments, resilience, and the ability to rise when the pressure is at its peak.